Hello, good people of YouTube. Sealord here, and today we're talking about everybody's favorite Tier 7 light British cruiser, the Belfast. Now, the Belfast is a really old ship in this game. She was released all the way back in, I think, October, November 2016. And she, upon release, was absolutely cracked. This ship, when she was in her prime, which I think you could probably still argue is still today, but we'll get to that. But definitely, 4 or 5 years ago, this ship was uncontested, insanely powerful. Where does she get that power from? Well, it's maybe not in the way that a lot of players think of overpowered ships today. When you think of overpowered ships today, you think of ships that have, insane ways of doing damage, like the Colossus that can one-tap pretty much any cruiser that it catches broadside, or another CV example would be obviously the Malta or the Nakhimov, or any of the crazy high-tier light cruisers that we have that have basically, belt-fed chain guns as their main battery guns, essentially. The Belfast's overpoweredness comes in a different form, and that is her sheer utility. This ship, I don't know what they were thinking, and maybe this ship is why we don't have a lot of consumables on lower tier ships usually, but they gave this ship every tool in the book to basically own the, I would say roughly the 10-kilometer area around it and murder anything that gets anywhere close to it. So how'd they do that? Well, they gave her the holy trinity of consumables for basically making Dee Dee's life miserable. She has smoke generator, and hydro, and radar, all in one, and she doesn't have to swap anything out to get, you don't have to swap out the smoke for the radar like you do with the Tackline British cruisers. They're in 2 separate slots, and then hydro's in the 3rd slot. So, obviously, if you are a DD and you see an enemy Belfast on the other team, you don't want to go anywhere near that thing because you gonna die. You gonna die real fast. And to back that all up too, she has HE on her main battery guns. Now you might be thinking, well, duh, light cruisers have HE. Well, back in the day with the British light cruisers, they didn't, and they still don't. That was, the flavor of the line. They don't have HE shells. Belfast does. Now, of course, you do have the Pan American light cruisers that don't have HE shells either. But, of course, back in the, again, that was the British cruisers thing. But she does. She does get HE shells. Now, she doesn't get the amazing AA of the British light cruisers, nor the torpedo armament of the British light cruisers as well. So she does give that up for HE and those consumables, but it's not really a terrible thing, because even still today, this thing just dominates the, again, surrounding 10 kilometers around it. You aren't going to be able to cap if this thing is alive and has its radar, its smoke, or its hydro up and ready to go. What are you going to do? It's tier 7 and it's got all this utility. I don't think we even have a cruiser that has near this utility on it either. And the thing is too, it's not like it's the, the short radar, like the Pan Euro DD split that just came out, that 10-second radar with their smoke. No, you build into it, it's a 30-second radar. And the smoke, it's a nice duration smoke. It's not the British short burst smoke that came out after this. No, it's a proper smoke screen that you lay down, you sit in it, you murder things. Same goes for the hydro too. It's not like a little 2-kilometer hydro either. It's a perfectly usable hydro in the job set that the Belfast does have. So what winds up happening, and what I was doing today with it, is you go to the cap, if you can get behind some island cover, because the shells do have that very floaty British shell arcs that the light cruisers do have, and you can sit behind the island and, farm the cruisers and battleships that come near you, and then when a DD dare enters the cap, you smoke up as your smoke's deploying, just crawl out a little bit, hit that radar, say hi to the DD, make his life miserable for the next 30 seconds, and you rinse, wash, and repeat, and you're just an excellent guard against DDs trying to get into those caps. Even other light cruisers too, because she still does have AP. You know, it's not like she traded HE for the AP. She has both shells, and the guns on this ship are more than capable of citadeling those light cruisers that like to, you know, maybe push up into the cap. They show you too much broadside, load the AP, and then you nuke them for 10k a salvo, just about. It's pretty darn useful. And of course, they probably don't have smoke, or if they have smoke, they definitely have terrible armor at tier, you know, 6, 7-ish. So, yeah, you're going to win that fight since you have smoke, radar, and hydro all together. And this ship still does very well in today's World of Warships. Like I mentioned a few minutes ago, I'm pretty sure this ship is why Wargaming is very stingy with consumables from tier 7 and down. And, you know, yes, we have one or two other tier 7 ships that do have radar nowadays. And yes, you know, God, pretty much everyone has hydro now. Hydro used to be a pretty rare thing that one or two cruiser lines have, but now they just give it out like hotcakes. You know, the Germans still have their long duration, long range hydro. That's about the only thing that keeps their hydro unique from the rest. But there's a lot more hydro. There's a couple more ships with radar at tier 7. There are a couple more smoke cruisers at tier 7, but there's still nothing like the Belfast out there that has all of this bundled up in one nice British package. So she's still incredibly good in today's World of Warships. I would say she's still pretty busted as well. She's been busted, overpowered, whatever you want to call it, for 7 years now. That's nuts. Even with the Stalingrad, which again was the poster child for Russian bias, the game eventually caught up to the Stalingrad, all the large cruisers that we have nowadays. Like, yes, the Stalingrad is still one of the best large cruisers in the game, but I wouldn't say the Stalingrad is overpowered, you know? A couple years ago, definitely so. But in today's World of Warships, again, the game's kind of caught up to it. Game hasn't really caught up to the Belfast. Again, especially where it's at. Oh, and another thing, too, that's even better for Belfast owners is that because of super ships, guess where all of those tier 9 ships are going? Into the super ship games. Which means you, the tier 7 ships, you guys are mid-tier and top tier a lot more. And the Belfast is a cruiser that, even if it's in a tier 9 game, she still does perfectly fine. But now that you're usually mid-tier or top tier, good lord. If you have a Belfast, an OG Belfast, now's the time to take her out and enjoy her. Belfast 43 was something that they did release later on to try and release a more balanced Belfast, but it's just kind of, in my opinion. I mean, obviously this Belfast is better than that one. Now, of course, this ship is a ship that's no longer for sale. You can only pick her up in the Christmas container event at the end of the year. I know some of you are going, well, Sealord, why are you talking about this ship if we can't get it? Well, because I thought it'd be interesting to look back, and we've done this before with many a premium ship that has been removed. We take a look back at the ship to see how, you know, this thing, just like I was talking about with the Stalingrad, how this ship back in the day was considered to be, you know, god tier, but now it's just good. Again, the Stalingrad. It kind of gives us an idea of, you know, how has the game evolved, what direction is the game going. With the Belfast, and this is what you hear a lot about mid-tier, still about the same, because, you know, mid-tier is still roughly the same-ish. It's a place that, I mean, you guys have said in the comments that you guys go to, you know, get away from that high tier meta where everyone's sitting back at 20 kilometers and such, just because of the nature of mid tier, you know, the main battery ranges and such. Things are still quite a bit closer, and that was very much true. When I was playing the Belfast in order to get the background footage here, I was pleasantly surprised that there weren't as many blowouts at mid tier as there are at higher tier, which is quite relieving from someone that plays a lot of higher tier. Most of the engagements were pretty close. Yeah, of course, you know, you had the usual opening 5 minutes where everyone's sitting back for some time, but, you know, most engagement ranges were around 12, 13 kilometers, which is a lot more enjoyable than those higher tier matches for sure. And I believe that's, of course, one thing that helps keep the Belfast quite powerful. But another thing, too, is the range of the Belfast as well. She has 15 kilometers on her main battery guns, which is, very good. That's better than some heavy cruisers that we're getting nowadays at like tier 8 and tier 9. And this thing's got 15.4 kilometers on light cruiser guns. That's, yeah. So, yeah, the Belfast, if you got it, it's still very good. And if things keep going the way that they're going with the game and how tier, 6, 7 has been thankfully excluded from the higher tier meta, she's probably, of course, still going to be great. And this goes for a lot of the tier 6 and tier 7 premiums that we've taken a look back at here on the channel. They're still doing very good. Prince of Wales, not Mikasa, Mutsu, those fun mid-tier ships, they're still doing great. And it's definitely, if you're sick of the higher tiers, the place to go if you want to get away from that higher tier meta, and I would highly encourage you guys to do so. So guys, if you enjoyed the video, make sure to drop a like and leave a comment and subscribe to the channel. We're on our way to 50,000 subscribers. We're getting very close to that goal thanks to you guys. Hope you guys enjoyed. Have a wonderful Thursday and a wonderful rest of your week. Hope to catch you guys in the next one.